Hello, hello. Happy Thursday. I hope you're all having a fantastic week. It's a little rainy today, but we need it so badly. So bring on the rain. I still went outside for my walk this morning, even though it was really freaking chilly this morning. I had my mitts back on. Not ideal on May 15th, but here we are. Today, Q&A. I'm going to answer 5 questions today, and I'm going to dive right in because I don't want to take too much of your time, but I feel that this is super valuable. You can get so much from what my clients ask about, and then of course you as well that have dropped into my DMs. So here we are. First question, is it normal to have big weight fluctuations between days? My body seems to be all over the place with what I'm assuming is water retention. Now, is it normal to have weight fluctuations? 100%. From, of course, the moment that I wake up to the moment that I go to bed, it can be anywhere from 5 to 8 pounds. Of course, with drinking, with eating, you're going to weigh quite a bit different from morning to night. Now, if you have really big weight fluctuations, like every morning, let's say you're consistent with weighing yourself every morning, it is still normal to have some weight fluctuations. I'll tell you myself, it can range anywhere from nothing, so no fluctuations, to 5 pounds. Maybe even more, to be honest with you. And that depends on so many things. It depends on time of the month, your hormones shifting. So if you have your period, it also depends on what you ate the previous day. So if you had something salty, if you had processed food, if you ate out, if you had alcohol, if you didn't go to the bathroom, if you trained really hard, like I had a really intense leg day yesterday, and I can just feel, I feel my legs are inflamed. They feel a little bit swollen, they feel sore. Your body's going to hold on to more water. It sends nutrients to your muscles. You just hang on to more fluids, ultimately. If you eat a higher carb meal, carbs hold on to more water. That's what they do. I compare them to a sponge. You all know if we put water inside a sponge, of course it's going to weigh more. It holds on to that water. If you squeeze it out, that drains it out. That sponge is a lot lighter. Our muscles are very similar to that. Medications, certain prescriptions can have you retain more water. So it's so individualized once again, and there's so many factors, and these weight fluctuations on the scale are water. And it can be so demotivating, if that's even a word, to see yourself get on the scale if you are in a fat loss or on a fat loss journey, and see that scale not necessarily reflect the work that you are putting in, but a lot of it is inflammation and water retention. Over time, we want to see, that number go down, of course, if the goal is fat loss. But did you see my little hand motion there? It's not a linear journey. Like, you're not going to just see drops every single day, every single week. It does not work like that. You are going to see spikes, and then it's going to come back down. You may see another spike. You're going to see kind of this wave type movement if you are indeed tracking your weight. So hopefully that helps. Next, I get constipated from time to time. Any tips to help with that? So fiber would be one of the first things that I would consume. So things like fruits, vegetables, and making sure you're eating enough. If you are under eating, you don't get enough bulk to move things along. If you have relied on, I'm totally drawing a blank here, but relied on things to help you go to the bathroom, that may even lead to more constipation down the road, because there's something called peristalsis. So basically your colon, your intestines, they're muscle, and taking too many meds or things that help you along. Why can't I think of that word? Somebody's going to drop it in the comments here. I'm even like, duh, that's exactly what it is. But your body often relies on that. Same thing with coffee. If you're like, the only thing that makes me go to the bathroom is coffee, like there is a deeper root cause to that. But tips to help with constipation: fiber for sure, magnesium. If you are to take a supplement, magnesium citrate is great, but if you take too much, it can actually have the opposite effect. I love magnesium bisglycinate myself. That is something that I will recommend to clients. It tends to be a little bit more gentle, plus it just has like so many other benefits to it. It helps to relax the body, relax the nervous system, relax your muscles. It helps like if you have restless leg syndrome like I do from occasion, then magnesium bisglycinate is fantastic for that. Movement is great. If you can get movement after your meals, that's going to double on helping you balance your blood sugar levels, which is super important. But of course, help to move things along, help with digestion as well. And then just making sure you're staying on top of your water consumption. I think that that is kind of a no-brainer, but sometimes we just forget, or we think we're drinking enough and we just aren't. So making sure you're drinking plenty of remineralized water, so adding mineral drops or a little bit of sea salt to your water is going to help to hydrate you on a cellular level. All right, next question I got was, what do you buy / use for creatine, collagen, and probiotics? I actually answered this on my stories yesterday, but not everybody watches those. So just wanted to quickly go over that. Creatine, I think creatine is great for everybody, if I'm being completely honest, especially women 35 and up, when we stop losing or stop when we start losing muscle mass, unfortunately. This is going to help. Plus, it has so many other benefits. Look up creatine. It's one of the most researched supplements with so many benefits. I like this brand. It is Jacked Factory. Monohydrate is what you want to look for. I buy it from Amazon, but you can buy this from any supplement store. I take 5 grams daily. I just put it in my water. 5 grams is ultimately just one scoop. I don't even weigh it out. I just use 1 scoop. And collagen. This is the collagen I use. I buy this big bag at Costco. Lasts me a very long time. If you're looking for creatine or collagen, good Lord, Danielle, get it together. Look for something that is grass fed. There's so many other brands of collagen. There's some other great brands as well, but just be mindful of reading labels. A lot of collagen, like coffee blends, might have some additives that aren't necessarily great for you. And the one that sticks to the top of my brain right now is artificial sweeteners, artificial flavors, not the best for you. So just pay attention, but this one is fantastic. And this person had also asked about probiotics. I personally don't use probiotics. I don't recommend probiotics. They aren't a one size fits all. I know there's like so many commercials and brands, and just saw a commercial this morning watching the news saying, oh, this is going to feed your like gut microbiome and give you like really good gut health. But The thing is, there's so many different strains of probiotics, and your gut microbiome has millions of different bacteria. A lot of us, and this used to be me, I had several gut issues a couple of years ago, but a lot of us have something called overgrowth. And if you are taking a random probiotic, you can actually be feeding that gut bacteria and making it overgrow even more, making your digestive system or your digestive issues worse. So I'm not a huge fan. I wouldn't recommend a probiotic to just anybody. I think you can get probiotics through food. Prebiotics through food would be your best bet than just spending money on a random supplement that you don't even know if it is beneficial or not. And that's just my 2 cents. All right. Next question I received was, how do we approach the goals of building muscle versus losing body fat? And when I have clients come into my program, this is a question that I ask them. What do you want to achieve? And so there isn't a huge difference between the approach that I would use to building muscle and losing body fat. The training, the weight training, the strength training remains the same, regardless if you are aiming to build muscle or aiming to lose body fat. The main difference will be in your overall movement. So your step goal will increase if the goal is fat loss. I may even give you some zone 2 cardio, which is not HIIT cardio, nothing like super intense. It's more so of a steady state type cardio, just a few times a week, not to exhaust your system or, have cortisol go crazy. And then the next thing is your calorie intake. So if the goal is fat loss, then we are decreasing your calories. We're keeping protein high, like protein, stays up there. If the goal is fat loss, I may even increase your protein, because in a fat loss phase, when we decrease calories, there's no saying that you will not utilize muscle as an energy source. Unfortunately, we just can't say, I want to lose body fat. I want to lose body fat. You run the risk of ultimately losing muscle, and that's the last thing you want to have happen. You want to retain or even build muscle through a fat loss phase in order to achieve that lean, toned, kind of tight body that most of us are aiming for. Like, we don't want to go through a fat loss phase only to become a smaller, saggy, fluffy version of ourselves. I know that that's not the goal. So that's why the scale isn't always it's not the best measure, the best way to measure progress. We have to look at how your clothes are fitting, inches, because that tells us, and progress pictures tells us the true picture of what is ultimately happening. So I hope that makes sense. Last 2 questions here. I remember reading somewhere to eat veggies first, then protein and starch. Is that correct? I'm very interested in the reason for it. So yes, this is all to do with regulating your blood sugar levels, which is incredibly important for stable energy, reduced cravings, improved mood, and fat loss, and or I guess making sure that your insulin levels remain in a good place. If you are eating a lot of carby foods, carbs by themselves, eating your carbs first, that's going to just like spike your blood sugar. You're going to feel great, but then you come crashing down, and ultimately that's not what we want. And that you run the risk of being pre-diabetic and then diabetic, and I'm sure nobody wants that. So yes, eating your veggies fiber first just slows down the release or absorption of carbs in your bloodstream. And then, so you want to eat your fiber, protein first, and then your starches, dessert last. And if you are having something sweeter, which is totally fine, like I love my chocolate. I also love cookies, but I don't keep them around too much anymore because I don't have an off switch when it comes to that. But if I am to have something sweet, I will have it like right after I've had my meal, because the veggies and protein just help to put that glucose into your muscles. Like it helps to store it and like slow down the absorption rate after. So you're better off doing that from a fat loss perspective, because it's not necessarily going to be stored in your fat, which is kind of cool. All right, last question. What's a deload week? So a deload week, I will have a client do that when they tell me they aren't sleeping well, they just feel tired, they're moody, their recovery from workouts sucks, they're not feeling very strong, they ultimately just feel tired, burnt out, exhausted, fatigued. We don't necessarily want to get to that burnout stage, but that's why I do check-ins with clients on a regular basis, is to have them answer all of these questions that I just talked about, because we can't just keep going full steam ahead, full throttle, and expect our body to respond appropriately. We need strategic rest periods. I guess in this case, it's called a deload week, where we just decrease the intensity of their workouts. We might decrease the amount of sets they do. We might decrease the amount of reps they do. Definitely decrease the amount of weight that they are lifting. Still going to do your workouts, but you're going to show up at about 50% to just keep that routine, that consistency, to move your body, because that always feels good. But we just let your muscles, your nervous system get a little bit more of a break. And I know some of you that are here listening to this will have gone through a deload week with myself, and they're like, oh my gosh, like this is a godsend. And it's always hard to mentally go through that, because you think, oh my gosh, I'm going to like lose my progress, or you might feel like you have to keep going because you're like super motivated and you've got goals to reach, but it's only going to like propel you forward. It's pretty darn cool what ends up happening once you've strategically done deload weeks, that you will only come back stronger, happier, and better off. So those are the questions for this week. I'll be back next week. This is what I'm going to be doing now on Thursdays, is answering questions. So if you have any questions, they're coming from my clients and all of you ladies as well, I will gladly answer. So enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Talk to you soon.